Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. Yankees do win the series. They win 2 out of 3 at Baltimore. Gotta say, pretty shocked by that. However, they find a way to make this episode a very frustrating one, as they were this close, a strike away from the sweep, and it was a ninth inning collapse, plain and simple. And it starts with Clay Holmes, and then it goes to Anthony Volpe and Alex Verdugo with 2 of the worst defensive blunders you'll see, especially in that situation. And so what could have been, considering how bad they've been for the last month, they could have swept and taken over sole possession of first place. Now, granted, they would have been tied on the loss column, but they would have had 2 more wins than Baltimore. And instead, they find a way to fuck it all up. And it's almost symbolic of the Yankee season, where, this close, but just not nearly good enough. So just, you think, oh, game A is the worst game of the season. No, game B is the worst game of the season. Well, now this is. I mean, I think the one before this that was the worst game of the season, a worst loss of the season, was that Yankee-Red Sox game where Yoshida homered off of Holmes. This one has to take it over. And think about 2 of the last 4 seasons, 2 just heartbreaking losses heading into the All-Star break. In 2021, it was against the Houston Astros, a game where I think Chad Green was the one that was on the mound to end it. Chas McCormick had a bit, the details are a little bit fuzzy, but that was a really bad loss. I think the Yankees had about a 5-run lead going into that 9th inning. And they were going for the sweep then as well, if I remember correctly. But yeah, just really, really bad. And look, there's many places to go. I don't want to make this a completely negative episode, because look, if this was game 1 and then games 2 and 3 they won, it'd be a totally different tone. There's a lot of good here. Like Gerrit Cole and Luis Gil, really nice starts. Aaron Judge, absolute beast in this series, specifically game 1 and 2, unbelievable. Soto had his moments. Ben Rice, who has actually really struggled a lot lately, he was almost the hero with a 3-run homer in the 9th inning off of Craig Kimbrell. There was a lot of good to talk about. Some of the bad stuff still remains, but they almost went into Baltimore, and they gave Baltimore their first AL East series loss since April of 2023. And that was a series also that was for the Orioles home against the Yankees. So again, could have been way worse. The Yankees finally won a series opener. They finally won back-to-back games. They broke a lot of streaks here. But yet it's hard to get the poor taste out of your mouth from that loss. So I'll start there. Clay Holmes, you can't say, look, if you're a Yankee fan, you can't say you trust him as your closer. And for him to be an all-star, it's kind of insane. If we were between Clay Holmes, Luis Gil, I would have much rather Luis Gil been the all-star representative for many reasons. Clay Holmes, and it's kind of funny, and it was kind of a surprising stat to see. I want to say, in his last 13 outings and last 54 batters faced, he hadn't allowed a walk, which that was kind of a surprise to see that. But he is getting hit relatively hard, honestly, at times. Not always. Sometimes it is a bit of bad luck. But look, Holmes was a big talking point in the series. There was a benches clearing situation in the 9th inning of game 1 where Clay Holmes hits Kierstead, the Oriole rookie, and unfortunately, he was had some concussion-like symptoms that came of that, sadly, and that led to a both benches clearing. Brandon Hyde was really upset about that. So Holmes was a centerpiece, and that was absolutely not on purpose. It was raining conditions, and look, Clay Holmes in general, this is someone that doesn't have he can lose his control very quickly. So it's always a high wire act with Clay Holmes. That's the problem. And here's the thing. The rest of this bullpen is actually rounding into form. So as much as I think it's one of your top priorities to fix this bullpen, honestly though, when you think about the playoffs and you think about the potential starting pitchers that may find their way in the bullpen and the guys that are kind of in there, let's talk about the pen real quick. think about the guys that are doing well. Like let's take Holmes out of the equation. Luke Weaver has had a fantastic season. Michael Tonkin was a great pickup early in the year. He's been great. And I know that these things may not last, right? But so far, so good there, and a pretty decent sample size. Tommy Canley, he's been okay, but like he's more than serviceable. What his role should be as far as totally high leverage or more middle relief, that's a question for sure. But like, there's ability there still in Canley's arm. And then guys like Jake Cousins and Tim Hill to a lesser extent really did a nice job rounding out the pen. The only guy that was really in there that I really wouldn't want to be in there anymore is Caleb Ferguson, but you can do a whole hell of a lot worse. And look, there's pitchers on the mend. Scott Efros, like he could be a factor, and they're likely to, go the trade route and pick up some bullpen pieces. All that to say, you have to fix the closer situation, whether it be by committee. Clay Holmes cannot just be your ninth inning guy. I know it's going to come back to bite them. I know it is. And I'm not saying he's bad. That's taking it too strong. I don't know if he has, it's not easy to do. I don't know if he has the mental fortitude to do it. It's like closing games. That's a different animal. It is. And I'm not sure if he has that within him. So yeah, that to me, that's a big problem. I view Clay Holmes as one of the bigger issues on this team. And then let's just get into Volpe and Verdugo real quick. The two of them have been horrific offensively for a while now, for a couple of months. I mean, these have been the two of the worst hitters in baseball. In terms of players that get everyday run, they've been really, really, really bad. Verdugo, I don't want to say specific. They've both been bad, so I don't want to make it one or the other. I want to kind of keep it equal here. But Verdugo, it's like, you got to come out of that break, and I'm sorry. No more batting leadoff or batting fourth. But like, let's be done with that for now. And I know the alternatives aren't great. I get that. But enough's enough. When is there going to be accountability? The guy grinds that to second all the time. Does not really work great at bats. He's down to 235 batting average. I mean, and the OPS is shit. So beyond the bad defensive fuck up, Verdugo has been absolutely dreadful. And Anthony Volpe, same thing. Guy's never had an account. His approach is terrible. And so I'm not saying to jettison these players. I mean, good. Volpe is now down in the order. That's where he belongs. He should not be anywhere near leadoff. And let's do the same with Verdugo. So we can't, I mean, those, and you know what sucks is that Volpe and Verdugo were two really big time catalysts for why the Yankees were so successful the first couple of months, like through May, let's just say. They were really integral parts of the club. And now they have been absolute negatives offensively, without question. And so for them to do what they did in the ninth inning, especially hurts because they're not providing any offense. So, but let's jump into the series. Let's get back to game one, and then we'll find our way to talk more about game three. And, the Yankees head into the series having been winless in their last 8 series, having only won 1 series in their last 10, having lost 6 straight series openers, and not having won back-to-back games in about a month's time. Luckily, that switches up. And as far as any transactions, now there was an injury that occurred in game 1 here. I'll jump ahead. Jose Trevino hurts his quad, where he scores on an RBI single by Juan Soto in the 9th. He's on the IL, and so Carlos Narvaez has been called up, and he'll probably get a little bit of action. Look, I mean, Austin Wells deserves to be the starter. Really had a very nice home run in game 2. Didn't really do a whole lot offensively besides that, but that was a huge homer in the first inning against Grayson Rodriguez in game 2. So happy to see Austin Wells get a little bit more run. I think he probably will, but you know how it is with catchers. Carlos Narvaez, he'll definitely get a little bit of his share too. And I guess it's too bad in hindsight that the Yankees had traded Luis Torrens to the Mets because, he probably would have been the one that got the call, but so be it. But yeah, Gerrit calling the mound, and it was a little bit of a shaky start. I would say the first 3 innings, a lot of pitches, and not so locked in, but ends up strong. In fact, I'm pretty sure that Cole and Heel's lines were exactly the same. I'll confirm that when we get to game 2. But 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Pretty good stuff. 106 pitches for Cole as well. And so he wasn't so pitch efficient, but he goes 6 innings, and for him to be able to go 106 is very encouraging. I like to see that. So Gerrit Cole in a big spot is able to deliver. And the Oriole pitcher, lefty Cade Povich, he did not do so well. He survived. He hung in there. 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts. So 5 walks is a lot. He allows a homer to Aaron Judge. So this is the matchup on paper that was definitely most favorable to the Yankees, and they're able to take advantage of it. As far as the Yankee lineup goes, let's see here. LeMahieu bats leadoff. I mean, that's just crazy. So against the lefty, they decide to have LeMahieu bat leadoff. Never do that again. Never do that again. Like that. That's just. I don't care what it is. That can't happen. Let it be Glaber. Let it be Glaber. Like even DJ LeMahieu should be nowhere near number 1 in the order, and batting in front of Soto and Judge is crazy talk. He's got to be down in the order whenever he's in there. I mean, I think his batting average is down to 188 at the end of the series. Just not a good one for him, but he does bat leadoff. Ben Rice is cleanup, but by the end of the series, he would be back to leadoff. So, and that seems to maybe it might be the better spot for him. He really didn't do much at cleanup, whereas we did see a little bit more action batting first. So that might be the move there. Other than that, kind of what you'd expect. And look, Verdugo versus the lefty was batting 6. So it's not to say I should clarify that. But against righties as well, I think you need to have him at highest batting 5th, really ideally batting lower than that. And Jahmai Jones ends up DHing batting 9th. That is very unideal. To have a DH bat 9th and it be Jahmai Jones, not exactly where you want to be. But to be fair, though, Jones did get an RBI single in this game. Just saying. But anyway, let's go through it. First inning, you do have a situation of bases loaded, 2 out for Alex Verdugo. What does he do? He grounds out. Big shock. Second inning, though, the Yankees get on the board, taking advantage of a really poor defensive play by Anthony Santander. Volpe singles, and Santander just bobbles it, and it goes by him. Good hustle by Volpe to get to third. So give him credit there. And then Jose Trevino gets an RBI double. So the shame in this is that Jose Trevino actually had a really nice game. He had a couple of doubles, and then he gets hurt. So makes it 1-0 there. And then Jahmai Jones RBI single makes it 2-0. So Jones, he's shown some ability versus lefties. Look, he's not a guy that I really want in there at all, but I gotta give him some credit. He has not been a complete stiff. And then DJ LeMahieu double play because, I mean, why not? Bottom of the second is where the Yankees do give up 1 run, and it ends up being a spot where it is runner on second, 2 out, and Ramon Urias hits an RBI triple to right. Juan Soto's defense is not very good. And what sucks with Soto is he's dealing with that. I mean, this is kind of beyond the poor defense, but that right hand, it's not really getting a whole lot better. The results are still pretty good, but I want to say that they could be better if it was healing a little bit more. So, but anyway, that's kind of a different story. Soto's defense, yeah, it sucks that Judge is in the right field. Because ideally, Grisham's in center and Judge is in right. As long as Stanton's not in there, that really should be more of what it is. And we did see one game where Soto, I think it was game 2, where Soto was DH. That's the more ideal defensive alignment. Because Judge is better in right than in center, and Grisham is a good center fielder. So that is your optimal defensive alignment. Anyway, though, the Orioles, that was the 1 run they would score on the night. Third inning, though, the Yankees get 1 right back on an Aaron Judge homer. So he had a little bit of a home run drought, but he gets 1 there, his 33rd of the season. Just the first 2 games, like Judge's first 8 at-bats, it was something like 5 walks, and not in order, 5 walks, 2 homers, and a double with no outs in his first 8 plate appearances. Like just pure domination by Aaron Judge. So good to see. He had been in a bit of a rut, and for him to do that against Baltimore was good. Makes it 3-1 Yankees. And then, Povich settles in a little bit. I'll say that. And where do we want to go to? Really nice defensive play in the 5th inning by Glaber. Runner on second, no out after Volpe makes a throwing error. Can't forget about that. Glaber with a really nice defensive play against Urias because that could have led to something big. It doesn't, and Cole gets out of it. We go to the 6th where Gerrit Cole is able to finish that out. A really strong 6 innings for the ace, and the Yankees have a 4-1 lead. Bottom of the 7th, Tommy Kahnle comes on. Decent inning. He was hit kind of hard, but nothing to show for Baltimore. And then we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Luke Weaver is able to go 1-2-3. The 9th, a big insurance one for the Yankees. Trevino leadoff double, and with 2 out, and really just a bad job by Jahmai Jones. A, not getting the bunt down, and B, he should have been pinch hit for. That kind of made no sense in my mind, considering I forget the bench. I forgot the options. You know what? Maybe it's not fair. I remember thinking, though, at the time that it was on the table. I should also mention, this is something I forgot to say because it was kind of irrelevant as it turned out. J.D. Davis goes now with a stomach flu. Never really heard of that before, but IL for J.D. Davis. And they called up York Vivas, the player they got from the Dodgers in an offseason trade, the Victor Gonzalez deal that involved Trey Sweeney going to L.A. Vivas is called up, but he never got in. And they sent him down after the series. So I'm not sure when we'll see him again. I was kind of looking forward to that, but it doesn't happen. Anyway, their Yankees are Jahmai Jones and DJ LeMahieu are bailed out as Juan Soto gets an RBI single against the lefty Perez to give the Yankees a 4-1 lead. That was the play where Trevino gets hurt. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Rain is starting to come down in Baltimore. Clay Holmes is on, and with 1 out, he hits Kierstead in the head. Completely unintentional. But I understand why Brandon Hyde's upset. He took it a little bit too far, I would say. And there's a little bit of a history between these two teams at this point, especially. And Hyde ends up getting into a shouting match with the Yankee bench, and the bench is clear. And no punches were thrown. It didn't get overly physical, but there was definitely some heat to it for sure. It wasn't nothing. Hyde was the only one that was ejected. And we'll see. The Yankees only have one more series with these guys, and it's late. It's the last homestand of the season. So a lot can happen between now and then. We'll see, though. But, hey, this is developing into a little bit of a rivalry. It's hard to fully say that at this juncture, but that was a pretty big deal at the time. But Clay Holmes is able to get, isn't able to let that affect him. The long delay, but the Yankees win it 4-1. And we go to game 2 where the Yankees finally get off the schneid when it comes to winning a series and when it comes to winning back-to-back games. They're able to do that. And what was really encouraging in this one was the fact that Luis Gil was able to bounce back, not from his last start. He was really good. He's been really good lately. It's the fact, and his last start was against the Red Sox where he was pretty much fantastic. It was that Baltimore outing at Yankee Stadium where he got absolutely annihilated. In this one, though, made the adjustments, and he was the one that was the dominant force against the Baltimore Orioles. And just to confirm, let's see, was it the same line? Yes, it was. The same exact line. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. And so he goes into the break at 10-5 with a 3.17 ERA and really great strikeout numbers, a really good opposing batting average. So it's too bad. I mean, I guess there's still a chance that he could be a replacement, but I almost feel like it's probably too late. I think that probably would have been announced already. Probably too late in the game for that to happen. But yeah, Luis Gil, he finishes out the first half, if you will, strong. Grayson Rodriguez on the other end, not so good. And Rodriguez has been, he's had a very good season. He was 11-3 coming in, and he's been good against the Yankees in his career. 5 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, and 3 homers. The big one being Austin Wells. That was really the at-bat of this game as it turned out. Alex Verdugo led off. He had a hit. I think it was actually leading off the game. And that was all he did, though. Beyond that, Rice back to clean up. Ben Rice had a rough game, 0-4 3 strikeouts. Rice, a lot of strikeouts for Rice, but hopefully that home run versus Kimbrel, then I can get him back going. But yeah, this was a lineup that saw Trent against the righty. It's more of the traditional Trent Grisham back in center. Soto DH, Judge and right, which again is more ideal. But the first inning, the Yankees score 4 runs, and they almost. Ben Rice strikes out in a big spot, second and third one out, but Gleyber Torres kind of perfectly placed. It's a single for Gleyber, RBI single. Gunnar Henderson, not much he could do with it, keeps it in front of him, so it's kind of, again, hitting the right spot, but a good job by Gleyber nonetheless. Gives the Yankees 1-0 lead, and then Austin Wells, a really good grinded out at bat versus Grayson Rodriguez, and on the 9th pitch, hits a 3-run homer. 6th homer of the season for Austin Wells, who has a lot better road numbers than home. But yeah, Yankees take a 4-0 lead. Luis Gil looking really sharp. He would eventually, in the fourth, allow a run. Ryan O'Hearn triples on a play where Alex Verdugo, honestly, wasn't an easy play, but not a great play by Verdugo. And with one out, Ryan Mountcastle with the infield back gets an RBI ground out to make it 4-1. But the Yankees respond right away in the fifth. Back-to-back homers. Soto his 23rd homer of the year with one out, and then Judge, his 34th homer of the year. Why they would pitch to Soto and Judge is kind of beyond me, especially with the rest of the lineup, but they do it, and they pay for it. Grayson Rodriguez, that is, makes it 6-1 Yanks. Luis Gil finishes out real strong. There was no downturn for him. He just got better and better, I felt, as the outing kind of went along. Then in the seventh inning, Tim Hill, who doesn't have strikeout stuff, but has done a really nice job. 2 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. So he pitches to contact, but it's been pretty good. And the ninth inning, Jake Cousins, who I think is someone that should definitely stay up with the Yanks for a bit here. He ends up pitching the ninth inning, goes scoreless, and the Yankees win 6-1. So a couple of nice wins for the Yankees, and we go to game 3. Now, I'm not feeling great about game 3 for the fact that Carlos Rodon was the starter. And the sad thing is that Rodon pretty much gave you as bad a good outing as you could have hoped for. He goes only 4 innings, throws 98 pitches in 4 innings, allows 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. So the 7 strikeouts in 4 innings is good. The 3 walks is not good. But the 2 earned runs, like 4 innings, 2 runs, like you'll take it. And the bullpen was very much fresh and available. So it was all right. But still, Rodon, it's like, you can't feel good. In my opinion, you can't feel good about Rodon in the long run. It's not all bad, but it's nothing near what you were hoping for. And again, 98 pitches in 4 innings. That's just kind of unheard of, to be honest with you. And he's done, and that's been a thing for him, where he's had these 5-inning outings where he doesn't allow that many runs in those, but like it's just a grind the whole way through. But hey, kept him in the game. Better than some of his other outings for sure. Ben Rice back to leadoff. Judge back to DH. Verdugo in the cleanup spot, which I hope we don't see again anytime soon. Trent Grisham was the offensive star of this game. And Trent Grisham has really been one of the Yankees' best offensive players for a while now. You know, again, through this rough stretch, Grisham, I think he's the one that deserves, you talk about, kind of the lefty up in the lineup. I think it's time to move Grisham up there. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but in terms of what's deserved, he's been given some pretty good at-bats. And so I would move him up and move Verdugo down versus righties. That would be my thought. And so Grisham in this game, 3 for 3, a home run, an RBI single, a walk in the ninth. And so his OPS, which isn't very good, it's 690. That is better. His OPS, and he got off to a terrible start. That is a better OPS than Alex Verdugo, Gleyber Torres, Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe. Like, that's what we're talking about here. He probably should be up in the lineup, and his batting averages actually surpassed DJ LeMahieu's. So, but Yankees get on the board first. In the second inning, Anthony Volpe doubles with 2 out, and then Trent Grisham with an RBI single. So it makes it 1-0 Yankees. But in the bottom of the third, and after Rodon's been kind of scuffling a bit, it's a leadoff walk to James McCann, which was bad on Rodon, but also he should have been rung up. The I forget which pitch it was. Let's just see here. It was the 2-2 was a strike, but he had him 0-2, and he walks him. And then Gunnar Henderson makes him pay with a 2-run homer. Henderson's 26th home run of the season gives the Orioles a 2-1 lead. We go to the fifth. So Rodon goes those 4 innings. And the fifth, Trent Grisham starts out the inning with a homer. His 6th home run of the season makes it 2-2. And then Jacob Webb comes on for Dean Kramer, and Alex Verdugo with first and second, 2 out, grounds out the second. Just cannot happen, and it's happening way too much. Tommy Kahnle comes on in the fifth, and he does a poor job as he gets the first 2 outs. He's ahead of Anthony Santander 1-2, and he allows a home run to Santander, his 24th home run of the season. So Kahnle, I guess I'd say it's been more good than bad since he's been back, but I know that it can be better. But, again, he is someone that I think will be a pretty key piece to the pen as long as he's healthy. So that's 3-2 there. In the sixth, Perez comes on, the lefty. It ends up being a first and third 2-out spot. Now, it was a good thing they left Trent Grisham in, who singled. Mountcastle maybe could have made the play, but first and third 2 out, and Oswaldo Cabrera hits for himself. And we know Oswaldo's not as good as a right-handed hitter, but you know what? They could have gone LeMahieu. I'm fine with keeping Oswaldo. He did strike out. But luckily you still had Oswaldo batting lefty in the ninth against Kimbrel. So maybe they were playing the long game there a little bit too. But anyway, the score remains 3-2. Michael Tonkin comes on, a really impressive 1-2-3 6th inning. You get another ground out by Verdugo against Cano in the seventh with a runner on first and 2 out. Luke Weaver gets 2 outs in the seventh after Tonkin got the first out that inning. Top of the eighth, after Gleyber Torres singles, it's a double play by Austin Wells. He tried to bunt on the first pitch unsuccessfully, and then it's a double play. Then Volpe grounds out to end the inning. Bottom of the eighth comes around, a 1-out triple by Anthony Santander, and this was a play, not a great play by Soto, to be honest, but they bring on Jake Cousins for Luke Weaver, and he gets the job done. Actually, a really nice play by Oswaldo Cabrera at third on a ground out by Jordan Westburg. They get the pinch runner Cedric Mullins out at home, and then Austin Hayes strikes out looking. So we go to the ninth, 1-run game. Craig Kimbrel he's had a really good season, but remember, he blew a save versus the Yankees last series they faced him at Yankee Stadium. And here, he walks Trent Grisham to lead it off, and then Oswaldo Cabrera walks. During that at-bat, it appeared as if Trent Grisham stole second, but they called, the home plate ump kind of called interference on himself for not allowing James McCann to get a full throw-in. It was the whole thing was kind of crazy because Grisham really would have stolen second either way. What was also weird was that Trent Grisham didn't slide in the second. That's here nor there, and it ends up kind of being irrelevant because Oswaldo Cabrera walks. So it's first and second no out for, at the time, the struggling Ben Rice. But what we've seen is Ben Rice is pretty damn clutch in these late game situations, if you will. I don't know. Maybe the stats don't necessarily back that up. But he hits a 3-run homer. 6th homer of the season. Gives the Yanks a 5-3 lead. Huge. Potentially the big moment heading into the All-Star break. Unfortunately, from there, the Yankees wouldn't score more, and they would have needed to, as it turns out. Clay Holmes comes on for the ninth. And Kyle Stowers gets a single to start it out. You can't have that. Kowser then grounds out. They get the force out at second. Then a 4-pitch walk to Ryan O'Hearn. Just completely unacceptable by Clay Holmes there. But then he does get Gunnar Henderson to strike out looking. And there were some close pitches at bat that didn't go Henderson's way, but still, that final strike, it did catch the corner. Then Adley Rutschman walks, and that wasn't great. It was a 4-pitch walk, but I guess you can kind of, that walk isn't as bothersome to me as the O'Hearn one was, but still not great. And then Ryan Mountcastle comes up. Bases loaded, 2 out, 5-3 game. 0-2 count to Mountcastle. And this pitch got too much plate, but hey, a routine ground ball to Anthony Volpe, and for some reason, Volpe lets the ball eat him up. Instead of charging the ball, he stays back on it, bobbles it, and they don't get the out at second base. So the game continues. It should have been over. Volpe should have ended it. So as much as Clay Holmes had struggled, right there, you should have had a sweep. You should have had an AL East lead heading into the break, but you don't. But okay, next batter. Cedric Mullins, who had pinch run for Anthony Santander as the batter. It's an 0-1 count. He hits a fly ball to left field. Hit decently well, but basically a normal type fly ball. Line drive / fly ball. Alex Verdugo inexplicably charges in on it, then realizes that he made a mistake, stumbles, and the ball drops beyond him, and the Orioles win the game 6-5. This was given a 99% catch probability. I believe I also saw a 150 expected batting average. This is a play that Alex Verdugo absolutely, and Aaron Boone even said it. And so for Boone to say it, it means something. That's a play that has to be made. And I believe if done correctly, it would have been a pretty damn easy catch. So Volpe fucks up royally and Alex Verdugo. And with Clay Holmes, there's always going to be that risk. And so it's Clay Holmes' 6th blown save of the season. None of the 3 runs are earned, and the Orioles are able to come out of there with the win. They are 58-38. The Yankees are 58-40. So this division is still very much up for grabs. It is, but hey, if you don't win this division, and it ends up being by a game or 2, even, then you're going to look back at this one. And as far as the season series, if the Yankees had won this game, they started out, remember, 2-5 against Baltimore this year. They would have been 5-5 with 3-game series left at home against the Orioles. And that could prove really big because the first tiebreaker is head-to-head. Now you're 4-6, and you would have to sweep in order to win that season series, which, quite frankly, as we saw here, that is unlikely. It just is. But the Yankees, they surprised me. I thought there was no chance that they would win this series, and they do. So there is that. And so now they will take on, out of the break, the Tampa Bay Rays. They're 500. They're 48-48. Yankees just lost that series at the Trop, 2 of 3. They are I believe they're 5-4 against the they're 5-4 against the Rays this season. Sunday, they have a 4-game set, a wraparound series, Friday through Monday. So it'll be Cole in game 1. We don't know the starters yet for the Rays. That haven't been announced. Game 2 will be Nestor Cortez. Game 3 will be Marcus Stroman. And then a Monday matinee game where Carlos Rodon will be the starter. And then Luis Gil, he'll pitch the first game of the 2-game set versus the Mets at Yankee Stadium. So the Yankees will come back home out of the break. We'll see Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and fucking Clay Holmes in the All-Star game in Texas. See what goes on there. But yeah, a very eventful first half of the season for the Yankees comes to a close, 58-40. That's really good. That's really good. I mean, everything, as Boone says, everything is technically right there in front of them. But they win the series against the Orioles. But the last game, the 9th inning collapse, that's a tough one to take heading into the break. And they'll have to kind of sit on that one. And they will come back at Yankee Stadium to take on another AL East foe in the Tampa Bay Rays.